Guten Tag, Brewers, and willkommen to Oktoberfest. This year, we decided to do Oktoberfest right. This is the first of 3 different German beers we're making for the season, this one being a German Hefeweizen or a wheat beer. So think like a Skolhofer or a Franziskaner. We made our own so that we can show you guys exactly how you can do the same at home and really get into the Oktoberfest season. So let's get started, shall we? Guten Tag, brewers, and it is Oktoberfest season. So today we're doing part 1 of our German beer little brewing series. So today we are going to be brewing a Oktoberfest Hefeweizen. So get out your Lederhausens because it's time to enjoy some real good German wheat beer. Let's get stuck into it. Now, let's talk the grain bill for this Oktoberfest wheat beer because it is a little bit complex. First and foremost, housekeeping. We are going to be using a bunch of rice hulls. I'm going to go with a ½ kilo, so like 1 pound, 1.1 pounds, because we're going to be using a ton of wheat as well as rolled wheat today. Speaking of, 10% of the grain bill is going to be rolled wheat. So this is going to give us that more traditional wheat beer flavor, that slight almost spiciness or bite that you have in the wheat beer. Like, it's a smooth beer, don't get me wrong, but there's that slight bit of something, and that comes from rolled wheats versus traditional wheat. And then we got a grain bill of 50% regular wheat malt and 38% Pilsner malt. So let's get all this stuff crushed up so we can get going. Obviously, it goes without saying that you don't need to crush the rolled stuff. Any rolled based grains don't need to be crushed. You can if you want to, it's just not necessary. Let's go. Well done if you realize that my maths didn't add up to 100%. It was only 98 because I forgot that 2% of this grain bill is going to be supernova malt. So that's a melanoidin malt, reason for it being traditionally when these were made a very long time ago, they used a decoction mash that added extra complexity and sweetness and residual head and all that kind of good stuff. I don't feel like doing that today. I'll explain what a decoction mash is shortly, but to make up for that, I am using a melanoidin malt, which gives you the impact of a decoction mash. Now, let's get to the next step.
There's a place in France where the naked ladies dance and a hole in the wall where the men can see it all. Okay, I'm ready. My voice is at a good register now.
The salt profile for this Hefeweizen is going to be fairly soft. We're not actually going to be throwing a ton of stuff in there, literally just some gypsum to balance things out for our tap water, but it is going to be 22 parts per million of calcium, 5 magnesium, 16 sodium, 32 chloride, 32 sulfate, and 57 bicarbonate. So in that goes, and then I'm going to start recirculating this before we mash in today to make sure that we've definitely just dissolved all that salt before we start throwing some grains in there. All right, whoop, there we go. We're actually going to do a couple stages step mash for this one. So the first step is going to be a ferulic acid rest at 45 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes, followed by a beta amylase rest at 57 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes, finishing up with an alpha amylase rest at 69 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes, and then we're going to bring this up to 77 degrees Celsius for mash out, and that will be about 10 to 15 minutes. A lot of steps going on because we're trying to get the best out of this possible beer, and having that ferulic acid rest at the start will kind of help us get to that more authentic Hefeweizen taste. Now, let's start mashing it.
Keen for Oktoberfest, mate?
Mate, so keen. It is the best time of year for every little boy dreams when they wake up on Christmas Day of pouring their first pint of Hefeweizen. Oktoberfest is just so good. It's just a brewer's holiday. It's so good. I'm keen for it. So the whole goal with this time round is where at the very minimum we're going to have 2 beers, as you're going to see in the next episode. There's another German beer coming out for Oktoberfest. But time permitting, I would love to get a couple more Oktoberfest brew days in, and then, you know, we open up the bar with a whole bunch of German varietals. All right, now we are going to start mashing this stuff in. I'm just going to mix in my rolled wheat now because I can. Everything else is actually milled. I can't. My fingers don't work. There we go. I got there. So besides that twang that I was talking about, that little bit of bites that you're gonna get from that rolled wheat, it's also gonna add a whole bunch of creaminess. So it was already gonna be creamy as it was, just by using so much wheat malt, but rolled products, they add an extra depth, an extra layer of creaminess. The same way that rolled oats do in a stout, this rolled wheat is hopefully gonna make this Hefeweizen extra creamy. And the total grain bill of wheat with the rolled and the non-rolled combined is 60%. So 60% of this grain bill is wheat products, which is hopefully gonna give us that really authentic, banana-y, silky, little bit of vanilla thing going on at the end product. All right. Now, I haven't done a step mash starting at such a low temp like this in quite a while, actually. But never fear, because the paint mixer is here. Rice hulls. I actually almost forgot them, and that would have made life very, very difficult a little later on. So do not forget these, because there is a lot of wheat in this thing, and it's going to be a very, very thick, sticky mash. Okay, I'm going to put the top filter on and let this thing start recirculating. Alrighty. And where is it? Ah, there it is. Nope, missed it. There we go. Got it. Away we go. Oh, that's like milk. Get a shot of that. That's creamy. Like mother's milk. What's a German accent? Hang on. Wie Mama, you used to make me drink this. The very funny Hefeweizen milk was before I went to school. This is how I got my engineering degree. I feel like I'm just adding a Z on the end of it all. I apologize for my accent, so you're German, you're Deutschman. I'm so sorry for this.
So bad. So bad. Ooh, that is creamy. How long will you mash it for?
We will be mashing in for 1 hour. After that, now it's going Arabic. We'll be mashing for 1 hour. We'll be mashing in for an hour. So 10-minute rest at the ferulic acid rest step. Then it's going to be that 30-30 at 59, 57, at 57 and then 69. So an hour mash, and then, you know, with the mash out for 15 minutes, 10-15 at 77 degrees Celsius. So the reason we're doing a ferulic acid rest is because we're really trying to push the extra esters that are going to be the star of the show for this beer. So wheat beers, traditionally, heaps of banana, heaps of clove flavors, and the precursor compound to those clove esters is 4-vinyl glycol, also known as 4-VG. So that is a precursor compound that after esterification will turn into those esters that are associated with like clove, a little bit of banana, but mostly clove. And that's what we're trying to push for with this, because we're going to get a ton of banana esters from our yeast. So we want to bump up the clove by doing that acid rest to really make this a more complex and more complete Hefeweizen. Now, we will see you guys at the end of this hour and whatever minutes of mashing when we start sparging. And we are ready to start sparging. Our mash has finished. So we're going to lift up our grain bed and start running some hot water over the top to squeeze out any extra sugars that we can. There we go. Open that up. Let that bit drain out. Alrighty, and we very importantly did do a mash out for this one. I sometimes skip it with some beers, it's not always that necessary, but a mash out does really help with reducing viscosity so that everything flows a little bit easier. And particularly considering how much wheat was in this one, having a stuck sparge was always going to be a bit of a problem. So anything I can do to help that is worthwhile. And it is draining. All right, I can hear drips. I can hear drips. Thank God. Now, where did I put that lid? I'm gonna flip my lid upside down and start pouring in and sparging over the top of this. So this is gonna be 15.5 liters of sparge water, by the way. Sparge water is at around 78, 80 degrees Celsius. All right, once we finish draining out all this 15 liters of water, then we can move on to boiling. Interestingly, for the boiling this time round, we're only gonna have one hop addition. So I'll talk to you more about that when we get to that step, but I'll see you there in a moment. And we are at a rolling boil, so it is time to add our hops. Now, as I mentioned, we are only doing one hop addition. That's because Hefeweizens are not known for their hop characteristics, so all we really need is the bittering hops to give us our IBUs. So we're gonna go traditional and use Spattler, a noble German hop varietal, and this is gonna give us 28 grams, by the way, 1 ounce. That's gonna give us 13 IBUs. I have, however, just checked our original gravity, which is sitting up at 1.05 before the boil. So this is gonna be a lot boozier than anticipated, which means the IBUs are gonna be marginally lower. Maybe it's gonna sit around 10 or something. Anyway, let's go ahead and add these in and start our clocks. Go, hops, go. Alrighty, now 1 hour on the boil. And there's nothing else to do for this boil, which is the first time in a very long time. It's literally just waiting for this to finish its 1 hour of boiling for its IBU purposes, and then we're gonna move on to cooling it down and pitching some yeast. But whilst we're here, I will mention, if you wanna check out our Patreon, it's in the link down below, and that's where you can get a bunch of behind the scenes, get more direct involvement with us, and tell us what projects, ideas, and brew days you guys want us to actually do for the channel. Now, we'll see you at the end of the hour. So we are ready to start cooling down. It has been 1 hour of the boil. By the way, I didn't bother using any flocculation components, so no like whirl flock or anything like that, because it's a wheat beer. We don't need to worry about cleaning it up too much. Pump's not working. This could be a problem. This is not promising. I am thinking that we may have screwed this beer up a little bit.
What's that? You tell me.
Now it's going to be okay. It's wunderbar. Wunderbar. Please.
Please.
Bitte schön sein Bier.
We should have got pretzels.
Oh, we'll do that for the tasting.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, you know, sometimes it's hard to get started first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
All right, how much have we got left there? We are 1, 2, 3. That's about 22 liters of wort. Let's get a gravity reading while we're at it, and then we'll see what we're working with here. But based on the initial reading, this is going to be a slightly boozier Hefeweizen than originally planned. That didn't, let's just, whoop. All right. And we are at 1.052. Isn't that lower than the original gravity?
No, you got 1.5.
Oh, maybe. No.
Yeah.
Let me check. Originally, I got 1.050. You are right. All right, 1.052. So this is going to be a boozy Hefeweizen. Not the worst thing. It'll be around like 5.5%, I think. Something in that ballpark. So yeah, still within the realms of what's appropriate for the style. And I've never complained about having a little bit more booze in my beer when it comes to the German stuff anyway. Once this is cooled down to around 20-ish degrees Celsius, we'll transfer into the Apollo fermenter, snub nose, and then we'll start pitching some yeast. And we are transferring. So it is now coming out of the counterflow at 23 degrees Celsius. We are going to be fermenting at 22 degrees Celsius, so perfect timing. Now, we want to ferment on the warmer end of what is possible for this particular German wheat beer yeast, of which we are going to be using Lallemand Munich Classic wheat beer yeast. So 22 degrees Celsius is on the top end. We want to do that because we want to really push the ester profile. We really want to lean into that banana and clove character. So the hotter we can do it without getting off flavors, the more of that character we're going to find. I suspect it'll take about 2 weeks-ish start to finish on fermentation for this one because we're fermenting pretty warm. So once I'm getting close to final gravity, I'll basically do a diacetyl rest to clean it up, and then, you know, we'll keg it, package it, and the next time you guys see us, we'll be pouring a beer. after we pitch this, of course. And now we're transferring, so we've got about 1 liter and a bit of culture here, 1 packet of yeast grown overnight. That's gonna go in. We're gonna ferment this at 22 degrees Celsius, as I mentioned. And now we're gonna go ahead and close up the Apollo and let it ferment under like 2 PSI pressure, 1 PSI. Basically, I'm just gonna use the pressure gauge as an airlock. That's all I'm really gonna do with it because I want esterification on this one. There's also a link up there to the video that we do reviewing this particular fermenter here if you guys wanna check it out. Very cheap, very effective, very good little unit. That's my alarm going off. All right, next time you guys see us is when we're gonna be pouring a fresh pint of Hefeweizen. So, auf Wiedersehen. And here it is. First and foremost, the color. It is just fantastic. It's that beautiful blonde golden color and the head just sticks around for days. It's that frothy foam that you get on like a cappuccino. It's like so different to like the regular beer pours. It's just like, look at that. Look at that frothiness sitting there on top. It's just absolutely awesome. And the flavor is just sensational. First and foremost, there's an explosion of just clove, like heaps of clove and cooking spice kind of flavors, which is brilliant because that first rest phase that we did at the start of mash definitely paid dividends. It worked out very, very well. And then there is a good banana punch and just estery kind of goodness, generally speaking, a lot of fruity character. Do wish there was a bit more banana, so the next time I make this, I'm gonna really dive into that banana flavor just a little bit more. And the mouthfeel is so silky, so creamy, just coats your whole mouth. It's absolutely brilliant in the way that only a German wheat beer can do. So absolutely highly recommend brewing this one. Next week, however, we are going to be brewing a German Helles lager. And then the week after that, we're going to taste the two against each other and see which is our favorite beer so far for this Oktoberfest season. And then after that, we are going to be making 1/3 and final German beer for Oktoberfest, but that's going to remain secret for a little while longer. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and Prost! We'll catch you next week.